Hello, hello. Hello, hello. Is anyone out there? Just me, at least for right now. But welcome. We had to, my goodness, we had to kind of switch gears a little bit because Squared Circle Pro, well, winter weather happened to Squared Circle Pro. So while I turned down the music, let's just make awkward conversation, like small talk, like, how's your day? How are you doing? I'm doing okay. I'm doing good. Just wanted to kind of, I know, I feel like it's, you know, it's Tyler Liger and friends, but there's no friends yet. So it's like when you're hosting a party and, you know, you got people like on your list that you know who are going to show up and they never let you down. And, you know, they're just taking their time. They don't want to be the first person here. They want to be like, they want to come in as a group. And that's fine with me. That is A-okay. But welcome, Season 1, Episode 24 of the Unfiltered podcast. I'm Tyler Anderson. The internet knows me as Tyler Liger. I know I'm decked out in my Denver Broncos stuff today. It's the AFC Championship game. Originally, we were going to do SEP Hangover today. Well, the winter weather happened, and so SEP had to postpone to March, which completely fine. You know, I trust weather in March compared to weather in January, especially the tail end of January, where in Texas it's probably like one of the only cold stretches of the year where you have a maybe about a week and a half of like really cruddy weather, and then it gets better. But most of the time it's nice. But it's good to be here. A little recap of the week and maybe a preview of the week ahead. Along with having CJ Holiday on last Sunday, we started the Crash Out Connoisseurs. CJ and I basically dipped our toes into the world of Cyrax, and he's always been a guy that kept tabs on Cyrax. I did too, but we dipped our toes in the world of the lol cows and, you know, the internet clowns, and I thought it went pretty good. A few hiccups there, but what's a first show without some hiccups, without some early installment weirdness? So it is what it is. You know, it happens. You know, it's no big deal. We'll continue to get better with time. My goodness, this music has got loud. There we go. I usually do like a lo-fi or a synthwave theme for Unfiltered, and then when we get to like Crash Out Connoisseurs, we do kind of like a vintage vibe. I don't know. We want to like sip tea with our pinkies out, whatever. But no, it's great to be here. It is Sunday, January 25th, 2026. It's hard to believe it's already 2026. We're already on the back half of the decade. One day away from me getting another year older. It is dreaded. I want to like jump back, well, not really jump back in a DeLorean, but like get a fountain of youth and just like get back to my 20s again. That'd be so nice. But I digress. Great numbers on not only the show with CJ, it was probably one of our better performing shows in quite some time, compared to, goodness gracious, where we had Corin Davis on. And Corin was fantastic. And then we also had Rick on for the first time. Rick's going to make an appearance. I also got Draven Reeves coming back. I also extended a few invites to a few others. We'll see what happens. I mean, right now it's like the beginning of the party. You're the host and you're the first one here. Not by choice. Usually you want to show up like fashionably late to things. You know, I completely understand. And just a disclaimer, Unfiltered, we talk about anything and everything. And, I bring in like sports personalities. I bring in, people associated with independent pro wrestling. I think a few weeks ago I had Duke Cornell on, and Duke was fantastic. He always has great stories. He's going to come back. Not today, but in the future. And then also, let's see. So this is not like one where I really talk about like the lol cows, and I talk about, Dark Side Phil or King Cobra. I love King Cobra. Rest in peace, King Cobra. But we get to make fun of that's what Crash Out Connoisseurs is for. That's for Crash Out Connoisseurs. Just to lay that out there. Also, this is towards the end of the first season, so we take a little bit of a few weeks off here at Unfiltered. We're gonna try to assemble some more guests. We'll bring we'll get some people that want to come back. We want to get them on, and finally get them set for dates and get them on for episodes. Maybe do some crossovers. It'd be kind of cool to see like Rick with Dave the Thinker, affectionately known as Dave Wrong the Stinker, but I don't like calling Dave that. Dave's not a stinker. He's a very refined gentleman with a big beard. He's got the epic beard. I mean, it's like a beard that would make like ZZ Top like pretty envious. Even though ZZ Top's beards are epic and they've been epic since whenever. But thanks for popping in. Yeah, we're leaving already. No, nope, we're here. I'll be here for the next. I need to see when the AFC Championship is. If we get a good enough crowd, we get chat going a little bit. We have some people pop on and say hello. I know I feel like the Maytag man, but when I have Rick, Draven, I think Lee Excel may make an appearance. He might show up in the bath towel again. Adam the Gamer Carter, I think he might make an appearance as well. But let's see. AFC Championships probably start time. Yeah. But just a disclaimer that this isn't the one where we talk about the lolcows all the time. We don't dunk on Cyrax all the time. I mean, if you dunk on... You can't dunk on Cyrax all the time. Although you should dunk on Cyrax all the time. 2 p.m. So, yeah, I'll be here till at least 2. Yeah, we'll see what happens. However, I will say this. I'm kind of looking down. I'm not. Yeah, it is what it is. However, before the snow hit, it's just a few inches. It's not really that bad, but people treat it like it's the apocalypse around here. They hunker down for, they go do their grocery runs. They get all their necessities, their things for the week done. While I was on the grocery run, I'm trying to get away from soda. Here, but I've been really, I'm trying to go into tea or sparkling water, man. I don't know. It's got to have a little bit of flavor to it. Trying to get away from a lot of sugary drinks, but as far as what I found that I've really kind of liked as of late, because I'm trying to get away. I'm trying to slim down. It doesn't look like I'm huge, on stream, because I do a really good job of hiding it, but other than that, I'm just, I'm a skinny fat kid. I don't move as good as I used to. The back hurts a little bit more often than it should. Don't get old, but I've tried this blueberry buzzsaw from Liquid Death, and it's really good. Really, really good. And then we'll do and then around 7 p.m. tonight, we'll do Crash Out Connoisseurs. We'll do a big one. We got some updates related to plenty of other, more Cyrax updates. Jeez Louise, that boy don't learn. More Cyrax updates. We have some Daniel Larson updates. Not a whole lot, but enough. And then here we go.
Hello.
Hey, Rick. How's it going?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Thanks for hopping on.
Yeah. Yeah, I got to a point where I could hop on. So here I am.
Well, welcome in. Thanks for joining me. I kind of like it to like a party where, you're the host and you're waiting for the guests to hop on and say hello. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate you. I was going to ask you something.
Yeah.
The new Masters of the Universe, they released a trailer the other day.
Yes, they did.
What's your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that.
Okay, sure.
Mostly that the idiots who like to complain about everything just consistently expose themselves as just the dumbest people on the planet. And because the first, I'll give you my impression, because I watched it probably within 20 minutes of the drop and hadn't seen any feedback yet, hadn't seen anybody talk about it yet, no posts about it yet. I had it I had my YouTube notification set for when it was going to drop, so I wanted to watch it before anybody had a chance to expose how stupid they were, because I knew the stupid was going to come no matter what.
Oh, sure.
So I watched it, and my first impression was oh my God, the effects and the graphics, the stuff that they're using to show the worlds is just awesome.
Okay.
It's heads and tails above what the 87 movie looked like. And it appears that once they started showing the Eternia characters, so much more colorful, so many characters that are in there. There's so many Easter eggs. They did focus on a few people, but if you slow the shots down, because I caught several glimpses that I thought, oh my God, I need to go back and stop that right there and see if that's what I think it is. And I ended up doing that, but I was like, oh my gosh, the characters look so good. Just the little things Prince Adam wore pink. Adam's wearing a pink shirt. I think it's great. He, just a nice little callback. They also seem to be approaching this from before I get into that, Skeletor, dude, the end of oh my God, could Skeletor look any better?
He looks really good.
I don't even care that it's Jared Leto's voice. I don't care if we see Jared Leto in the Keldor form before he gets his face burned off and turns into a skull. Mm-hmm. I don't care if that's good, whatever. If the image of Skeletor fighting He-Man, are you kidding me? You got to really just want to be upset if you're going to gripe about that, because that was phenomenal. And so aside from that, if I'm going to nitpick, if I'm going to get in there and go detail by detail, anybody who thought for a second that they were going to bypass the opportunity to do some stuff on Earth, you're not paying attention to the He-Man lore. Okay. Because his mother is from Earth. Marlena Glenn was an astronaut from Earth who landed on Eternia, married King Randor, and gave birth to Adam and Adora, who would become She-Ra.
Okay. Yeah.
And that is the lore. And if you said, well, why are they on Earth? Then you must not be a fan. So eat a dick, because that you're an idiot. So if that's your first gripe, then you're stupid. So secondly, so I see that. Okay, so they're going to do it feels like they're coming from a place of either Superman, sent away from the destruction of Krypton to stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
They're sending him to Earth to protect him because the evil warriors are taking over.
Mm-hmm.
Or they're going to go at it from a Matrix standpoint, that he doesn't really know who he is or what he is, but he suspects what he is, and he's searching for the sword that's going to show him who he is. So one of those two things, I feel like, is where they're going with it. And here's the thing. If either one of those is true, awesome, great, because it's going to end up with him in Eternia fighting the evil warriors. So who cares? Why are you getting upset? And then the big thing that everybody is throwing a fit about is the he him pronouns on the nameplate. So in the office that Adam is in, he apparently works in human resources in some capacity. And when they show him at his desk, you see the nameplate Adam Glenn, and underneath it says he/him. Now here's the thing. I don't care what you think about wokeness or pronouns or whatever. Whatever, if you're an anti-woke bro or whatever you are, I don't care. Oh, MCU, whatever. If that's the stuff that makes you happy, then live in misery, dude, because I don't know how to help you. Because we are in a world now where people recognize pronouns. And if you don't like that, I don't know how to help you. If that keeps you up at night, you've got a sad life. So, but the fact that he had he, him on the nameplate, that is something that is so prevalent in corporate America. It's not even funny. So, but here's the other piece of it. He, man, he, him, it's a woke joke, idiots.
Yeah.
It's a woke joke.
It's a joke.
And if you don't get that, then you're a fucking moron. And I'm sorry for dropping the F word, but that's where we are.
Nope, by all means. This is Unfiltered.
So here you're a fucking idiot. So you just proved how stupid you are. By the character's name is a freaking pronoun.
Yep, it is.
What are you doing? What are we doing? So anyway, again, oh my God, I'm such a He-Man fan, and I'm so upset that he's on Earth and he has pronouns. Well, you just described the entire mythos of the show from the very beginning. So congratulations, you're the dumbest person in the room.
Sure.
So aside from that, Cringer looked amazing. Man-at-Arms suit is correct. Tila looked good. The only thing that I saw immediately that I'm like, dude, why can't we just make Roboto look like he's supposed to look? Why did he have to be this giant clunk? But then I thought about it. Well, I know why he has to be this giant clunky thing, because it's a Star Wars reference. Because there's always the Chewbacca or the robot from Rogue One, or from there's always that big sidekick in the group, that the big monster that hangs out with the heroes. So, okay, they wanted to have a Chewbacca-like character, so they went ahead and made Roboto this giant guy. Okay, fine, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's another thing. Guess what? Roboto is not a major character. Roboto's not a major character. He was a helper that Man-at-Arms built. That's really what he is.
Okay.
You've got Man-at-Arms in the show. You've got Tila in the show. You've got He-Man in the show. You've got Fisto, who we saw fighting. And then if you look at the scene where the good guys are walking down that tunnel, you can see Ram Man behind Tila. You can see Mechanex's glowing glasses. And then there's somebody behind Man-at-Arms who very well could be Victor. So to me, they've got so many more characters than they had in the first film. And then let's talk about the Evil Warriors for a second, because not only do we see Skeletor, we see Spikor, we see Trap Jaw in 2 different shots, and he looks amazing. And we know that Triclops is going to be in the show. We saw Beastman, he was completely CGI.
Oh,
We saw Beastman because he has to be. Beast, you can't. We saw what happened when they tried to do Beastman in '87. It was terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Beastman has to be CGI. Okay, he just has to be.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that there's an actor or a stunt man who
Yeah,
they
there's
put
gotta
all
be
the little
like a
mocap on
yeah.
there. Yeah, they've got all that, but it doesn't matter because in the end, if we get accurate Beastman, are you freaking kidding me? And then we also saw Evil Lynn, who looks great.
Mm-hmm.
And God knows how many other characters we're going to get. We may get Too Bad. We may get Whiplash. We may get Cobra Khan. We don't know. We may get Merman. Some of these characters may end up being CGI mocap, because of what they look like.
Right.
So Stratos may be in there as a mocap. Skyclone may be in there as a mocap. We don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But when you look at that trailer, that 2-minute and some odd second trailer, and then think about the He-Man properties we've received over the years since the cartoon started, how can you not be so freaking happy with what you've seen? Like, we are about to eat well, my friend, with He-Man. And I'm so freaking excited about it. If you are just going to pick out the things that you want to bitch about online, you've got a sad existence, and I feel real sorry for you because you are just looking to be mad. You are just looking to be mad about it. And we know, as wrestling fans, we know that people are just going to gripe and gripe and gripe and gripe. And, if you're a Star Wars fan, you know that the fandom is the most toxic thing on the planet. Fans are their own worst enemies. They always have been, and they always will be. And man, sometimes you just got to look at what you're given and say, man, that's pretty freaking amazing. I'm going to give this a chance. And when it's all said and done, if you go to the movie and you pluck down $8 to $10 and you watch that film and then you didn't like it, you didn't like it.
Right.
But why are you review bombing a trailer to try and get your angst out there? Like, what's wrong with you?
I guess it's the old mantra of this is why we can't have nice things.
It is why we can't have nice things. That is why we can't have nice things.
I did see before starting, booting up the show. I did see the Yoshi trailer to Super Mario Galaxy, and same thing, just all the Easter eggs, and I thought that was great. So like, I'm hoping that, all I want at the end of the day is just good movies. Like, I don't care about politics, but, sometimes great franchises revolve around politics. I mean, look at Star Wars. Star Wars was always political.
Star Wars was political from day one.
Yeah. Yep.
That's why I always thought it was ridiculous when people freaked out about the prequels having so much politics in it. I was like, okay, well, let's see. We came into the story in what was purportedly the fourth film, and the Empire had taken over the Old Republic. We talked about wars that led us there, and now there's a resistance against evil. So if we're going to go back and tell a pre-story, don't you think we're probably going to find out how all that happened? And isn't that soaked in politics?
Yeah.
What a bunch of morons. Why are we upset about that?
Yeah.
What are we upset about that for? It's the freaking story.
I think nowadays, looking back at it, 20, 25 years, ago, I mean, it's been just as long for the prequels to be released as opposed to the original trilogy when I was growing up. Time moves fast. Father's times is certainly, he's most undoubtedly undefeated. Now you look at the prequel trilogy and you realize it's not that bad.
The prequels are not that bad. Look, I'm not a super fan of the sequel trilogy because I feel like neither J.J. Abrams nor Ryan Johnson, I don't feel like either one of them really read the room and realized that all the fan base really just wanted was to see the original characters again.
Yeah.
and they spent more time killing the original characters than they did, showcasing them.
Yeah.
And I get they wanted to try and tell a story with new characters. I understand that. That's fine. I get that. But those films, I mean, if people want to find something to gripe about, I'm okay with you griping about the sequel films because they're not great. They're okay. I mean, they're okay. They're just not what they could have been.
Sure.
And that's fine. But the prequel movies, the one thing that everybody always harps on outside of the politics is Jar Jar. And here's my thing, guys. Star Wars from day one. If you know anything about George Lucas, you know George Lucas's crowning triumphant moment in the original trilogies was signing the kind of deal that he signed that allowed him to reap the royalty rewards of toys.
Mm-hmm.
He was the guy who spearheaded the toys from a movie are here to take over movement. And every toy you've ever bought based on a film that came after Star Wars, you can thank George Lucas for that toy being available in the aisles because he's the one who got that giant ball rolling.
Yeah.
Before he showed up, it was just Mego and their giant superhero doll line. Other than that, Barbie was it. And so Star Wars was what really came in there and changed everything for toys. And look at all of the characters in the original trilogy that were solely there to sell toys. Jawas, the droids, Yoda, Chewbacca,
The Ewoks, man. Yeah.
the Cantina characters. They were all there to sell toys, man.
Mhm.
And here's the other thing. Here's what I like. I mean, Star Wars fans upset me so much sometimes. They're the fan base that I like to troll more than any other fan base because they're so easy. But their arguments are such straw man arguments all the time about all the dumb shit. So I shut them down. Here's how I used to shut down my brother-in-law, because my brother-in-law was one of those that was like, the prequels are awful. The prequels are awful. The original trilogy is the best. It's holy trilogy, blah, 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 blah. And he used to get so upset about the prequels. Here's how I would shut him down. I would remind him every time he kvetched about Jar Jar Binks. And they're like, I can't believe that Jar Jar is the person who allowed the Emperor to take power like that. And that they're going to put all that on Jar Jar. He's the one that started the Empire. And I'm like, oh, that's right. He was. And your holy trilogy, let's reference that for a second. Teddy bears saved the universe. So
Yeah.
fuck you. Teddy bears saved the universe. What do you got to say? What do you got to say? Bring it. What do you got to say?
Right.
Teddy bears saved the universe. Because if you go back and watch Jedi, until the Ewoks popped up and saved the day, Han and Leia and them were done. They were toast.
Mm-hmm.
They were captured. They were captured. And it was the Ewoks who saved the day.
Yeah.
So for everybody who's upset about the Rastafarian fish guy, teddy bears, motherfucker, teddy bears.
What I think of, I mean, I know that there is the Jar Jar, like the Darth Jar Jar theory that's out there. Oh,
Sorry about that. My dog's losing it.
That's okay. We love Cooper. We love Cooper as much as we love, Sumo Dog. But there's the Darth Jar Jar theory. Yeah. And I think that's brilliant. I was like, okay, all right. And then I think they hinted at it at one of like the Lego Star Wars games. Like
they did.
Yeah,
they did. That was a fan theory that took root and actually, was a fairly well thought out theory.
It's good.
And I think that's fine if that's what you need. If that's what, and I don't say you, I'm saying you generally. If that's what you need to make yourself excited about Jar Jar, then fine. Mm-hmm. But here's the real, for me, here's why Jar Jar works. Let's put ourselves in Jar Jar's position for a second, because Jar Jar is far more a human character than you give him credit for. Mm-hmm. Every single one of us who's watching Star Wars, every single one of us that's a human being, at some point in our life has felt inadequate. Every one of us has felt the need for to earn somebody's gratitude, to earn somebody's respect. We've all wanted a moment where we feel like we did the right thing for history because we did the right thing for someone that we love. We all have those feelings, okay? And however we want to manifest that, that's a human trait, okay? Now let's look at Jar Jar for a second. Jar Jar was shunned by his race, kicked out of his home, and then adopted by the rebellion or by the Republic at the time.
Yeah.
Adopted by the Republic, became a confidant to the Queen, to Amidala, who then became a senator. And Jar Jar was part of her inner circle. He was walking around in robes, part of her inner circle as an advisor, finally in a position where he felt like he was worth something. And then when she had to leave to go do what she was going to do, and she took Anakin with her, and they were off planet, Palpatine, who is the bad guy, who we always knew was the bad guy, Palpatine used that moment where he, in Jar Jar's presence, talked about how it was so important that he had supreme powers for a period of time so that he could enact the things that needed to be enacted, build the army, do all the stuff to quell the separatists. And he said all of that in the presence of Jar Jar. And he even invoked Amidala or Padme, saying that if only she was here, she would be able to be the deciding vote. She would be able to throw that to the floor. And you see the look on Jar Jar's face. And then the next time their Senate is in session, Jar Jar makes the motion. Why? Because he thinks that's what Amidala would have, what Padme Amidala would have done.
Yeah.
He thinks that that's the right thing to do because he was manipulated by Palpatine. But when you think about that, how sad and tragic is that?
It's
because
really sad.
all he wanted to do was help. All he wanted to do was be worth something to somebody, and he did what he thought was right. How can you hate that character?
Yeah.
That I don't like. What? Why? Because he has a jumbled language? Because he's a goof and he trips over himself? I mean,
there's plenty of people like that in real life. So let me enhance your viewpoint. Let me enhance your point. So, isn't there a bunch of people out there that stumble over themselves and they even if it blows up in their face, they always try to do the right thing?
Yes. I think all of us match that description at some time.
Yeah.
Jar Jar is a very relatable character. And he's also weird looking and makes a great plush toy.
Yeah.
You know? And so for people to just triple down on, oh my God, Jar Jar, the existence of Jar Jar ruins the entire Star Wars mythos. Blah, 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 blah. No, it doesn't, you moron. It doesn't. Like, you just want to be mad about shit. Oh, and by the way, teddy bears saved the universe, so fuck off. And here's the other, and let me just real quick, let me say the one positive thing that I will say about the sequel trilogy, where everyone gets mad regarding Luke, and they all I ever heard was, Luke was this giant hero who redeemed his father, saved the universe, did all this stuff. And then instead of becoming this this wonderful leader, he's living on this water planet in exile, drinking raw milk out of udders of creatures, and not wanting to participate at all in the Jedi stuff. Like, what a fumble of Luke Skywalker. Well, let's examine that for a second. Okay. So, with the knowledge in the second part of the trilogy in Last Jedi, with the knowledge that he did start a Jedi temple, he did start a Jedi training program, And then he had a PTSD moment, and he almost killed his nephew. And so here's the thing. When Obi-Wan Kenobi and Yoda, when they failed, what did they do? They went into exile.
Yep. They became hermits.
And lived as hermits. So what happened when Luke, his perception was he failed? He went into exile and he acted like a hermit. So do we think that Obi-Wan and Yoda were giant fails? Were those giant fumbles? No, we don't. So why do we assume that that's a giant fumble from Luke? Another straw man argument from morons who don't understand their own mythos.
Okay. I can see that. That's I can see that.
Now here's the thing. Would I have loved to have seen more of the kind of the Luke stuff that we got in The Mandalorian? Absolutely, I would love to see more of that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
That's why I'm really looking forward to the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, because if this is going to be the beginning of the Filoni trilogy, that's going to bridge Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens. If that's where we're headed, then we're going to get more cool Luke. Okay? We're going to get the stories that we missed. Mm-hmm. And so maybe we just calm our jets for a little bit and let Dave Filoni cook, because everything that Filoni has touched has been amazing.
Sure.
So why are we upset about it?
Right. And then, and I thought, the first 2 seasons of The Mandalorian were really good.
Yeah.
I haven't seen the third one
great.
to make a judgment, so...
I thought the third one was just as good as the other. I think that the whole story was really good.
Okay.
I loved it. I also loved the season we got of Ahsoka. I thought that was really good. Mm-hmm. I think that, I know a lot of people were down on Book of Boba Fett. I liked it. I thought it was fun. We got to see a lot of fun shit in that thing. We got to see freaking that bounty hunter Wookiee. His name escapes me right now, but
okay.
The big black bounty hunter Wookiee. That was amazing. Yeah. We got to see more Hutts. That was cool. We got to see the freaking the blue bounty hunter that's like a Western guy. He was cool too.
Yeah, he
Cad
was in
Bane.
the comics.
Yeah, we got to see live action Cad Bane. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Like, there was so much good shit between The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. If that's the flavor of these 3 Filoni movies that are coming, dude, take my money. Are you kidding me? That's those shows feel more like Star Wars, like the original Star Wars, than the sequel trilogy did. Mm-hmm. And I'm all for it. So let's just be excited about it and support it, instead of finding ways to bitch about it online because they're using pronouns, or God forbid people of color hold a lightsaber, or oh my God, somebody's a lesbian. What are we talking about, people?
Yeah.
Do any of those things affect your personal life? Do any of those things make it so that you can't enjoy something? If they do, you need to see a psychiatrist. And let the rest of us just have fun.
Yeah.
Because I got news for you. In everyday life, and here's the thing, Marvel is just as bad as the Star Wars fandom, because people are losing their mind at the thought of, oh my gosh, X-Men have gay people in it, and X-Men have people of color and power, and X-Men, have you ever read an X-Men book? It's based on the civil rights movement, you idiot. Mm-hmm. It is inclusive and embraces everything. And how are you going to double down on tell me that you need everything to just be about white men without telling me you need everything to be about white men?
Yeah.
Because it's just, what is wrong with you, dude?
Well, I think it's because for so long in pop culture, it revolved around white people. You'd have a token Asian, you'd have a token black person, you'd have, token, little representations here and there, but it was mostly white people. It's mostly whitewashed.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I get, where it needs a little diversity is not bad, and but I mean, I think there has to be a balance. I mean, you can't.
And well, no, you're not wrong. There does have to be a balance, but here's where the joke is on the anti-woke crowd.
Mhm.
Because you're upset about wokeness and you're mad that everything is not predominantly white male. Well, here's the thing. The whole thought of predominantly white male in entertainment and in the workplace, in political life, in everyday life, the whole idea that people of color or anything that's not white and male is a token something. Guess what created woke, guys? That's what created the woke movement. The woke movement was about inclusivity and stopping the idea of thinking a certain way and being more inclusive to everyone, not just white males. So if you're taking the stance of, I am anti-woke and I don't like DEI hires and all that stuff, your whole attitude is what created the woke movement. So like, bravo, you're dumb in 3 languages.
Yeah, I think I just hate that, like, we can't, like, just sit back and just enjoy it. Sometimes we just can't sit back and enjoy it.
I mean, that's the way it should be, though, is we should just be able to freaking enjoy it. And there's just everybody out there just wants to hate it all the time. It's so negative and it drives me crazy.
Yeah. Yep. And people are drawn to negative more so than positive. I mean, look at me bringing on, CJ Holiday and us dunking on a really weird looking person from Akron, Ohio. But there's a whole lore to that, and it's not good lore. But anyway, okay, so I think I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. So did you see how the Saudis basically built a stadium from the ground up in basically in time for the Royal Rumble?
I did see the stadium build. I followed it. It's amazing what will happen when money is no object.
Mm-hmm.
And man, they built a pretty badass looking little stadium. I mean, it's open air. It looks good. And I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited for the Rumble next week. I think it's going to be really good. And I think that crowd's going to be hot as fire. And it's going to be another one of those moments where, the American fans might be upset about it, but, you need to pay attention to these foreign crowds and understand how excited they are to have a product in front of them. And, you can gripe all you want to about it, but then when wrestling comes back to America and you're in front of it, maybe you need to not be sitting on your hands or going into business for yourself and being an idiot. And then they won't continue to go overseas.
Yeah.
Because if it was up to me, if I was in control of TKO and WWE, 70% of my business would be outside of the United States, and I would do 30% at home, and I would make the American fans wait to get their stuff so that they're super excited to get it when they have it, because I would absolutely reverse the polarity of how it's always been. And we're the World Wrestling Entertainment. We're not United States Wrestling Entertainment. I would go 70% overseas, and I would tell American fans to suck it.
I mean, it is World Wrestling Entertainment, but and I'll get to this probably later on, because.
But yes, the stadium is really cool build.
Okay, yeah, I thought it was. I mean, goodness gracious, yeah. When money's no object, man, things go up in a hurry.
And I mean, let's be honest. I'm sure that there was the fear of beheading or whatever,
Yeah. I mean, this is Saudi Arabia we're talking about. But...
You will build stadium. You will build. I mean, remember what Pharaoh did to the Jews.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
So it might be the same thing. Who knows?
I mean, save for the 7 great plagues in the Exodus, but but Yeah, I think it's interesting. You know, I don't know how fast you can build something like that. But yeah, it blew my mind, and only just like now it's just 7 days away, and they're probably just putting finishing touches on things. But makes me
Yeah, I feel like about 20 days into their 30-day build, they're probably looking around going, Jesus, when does Moses show up?
yeah. Let my people go.
Yeah, can we please leave?
Yeah. And
But
I've been,
it looks good. It looks good. I'm excited.
yeah, I'm interested to see how that goes. I mean, I don't watch WWE that much. I don't watch AEW that much just because I don't have the streaming platforms. But and I'll probably talk about this in another show, is UFC being on Paramount Plus, and UFC delivered a good product. I thought the UFC 324 was a really good show. I mean, it was started off with a bang, and then it had a hell of a main event. Had a guy from England, really well liked. It was like putting two baby faces against one another. There was the American with Justin Goethe. There we go. I just don't want to mess up any names. And then there was the Englishman and Paddy Pimlet, Paddy the Batty, and they had themselves a battle, and it was really good. I'll get into that in a different show later on this evening, but
that Patty person, is that the one that everybody online is saying is probably Owen Hart's kid?
He looks like Owen Hart's kid.
Because everybody's saying that like that kid's mom gave birth like about 9 months after a WWE tour had come through and Owen was on the tour.
Possibly, but
I think that's hilarious.
He's got a lot of charisma.
If it's true, I really kind of hope that that's true, just because I would want it to like really upset Martha Hart because I don't like her.
Oh boy. So is Martha Hart just like hogging spotlights now, or?
I don't like her because, look, I am very much a believer in stick to your story, man.
Mm-hmm.
And own your anger. If you're angry about something and you've got a story about it, that's fine. You're allowed to be upset. And if anybody's allowed to be upset about wrestling, she's allowed to be upset because it took her husband away from her. But if you're going to turn around and blame professional wrestling, at the same time blame Vince McMahon, blame the WWF, if you're going to do that, but if you're going to say, I will not allow WWF to show images of my husband, I will not allow them to put him in the Hall of Fame, I will not allow wrestling to tribute my husband because it took my husband from me, which has been her stance for years and years and years and years. She's won lawsuit after lawsuit. She's won settlement after settlement, blah, blah, blah. And then the second that competition, and that's in giant quotations because I don't believe they're competition, but the second that the appearance of competition appears in AEW, suddenly she is totally fine with her husband's likeness being used, her husband's name being used, appearing on camera while they tribute her husband. She has no problem allowing AEW to do it. But God forbid the company that he spent his life in get an opportunity to tribute him or honor him. So to me, that's being a hypocrite.
Sure.
And I'm not having it. I'm not having it.
Yeah.
So I hope he did. I hope he cheated on her. I hope that kid is his kid. I hope that she got that a thought might keep her up at night because I think she's a bitch.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
And that might be an unpopular opinion. Guess what? I don't care.
Fair enough. I
don't ask for none.
I think of it as I kind of wish that, you've won your lawsuit. You've settled. Maybe just maybe. Okay, all right. You've been. Maybe with the loss of your husband, you don't feel like you've been compensated enough, but they made deals with you. You settled with them.
Yep.
maybe just let it go. And I think some people have a hard time just letting things go. Like they have a hard time letting grudges go. But I think to grow as a person, you have to let things go.
Well, and a lot of people point out that, well, the reason that she did it with AEW is because Tony Khan is making ridiculously large donations to the Owen Hart Foundation and this and that, blah, 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 because he's made of money and, the money is no object and he's making these giant donations. Did you happen to look around and see what happened on Triple H and Stephanie's watch over WWE? The money that they've donated to breast cancer every year, the stuff that they've done with that little kid Connor who died of a brain
Connor the
tumor.
Crusher. Yeah, I love Connor the
all
Crusher.
all the charity work that they do in WWE. Are you seriously going to make that argument and tell me that if she was to allow WWE to put him in the Hall of Fame or tribute him in any way, that they wouldn't be donating millions upon millions of dollars to that foundation? Of course they would.
They would.
Of course they would. So like that, to me, that's not an argument. That's not an argument. That's bullshit. She's doing what she's doing by allowing them to do Owen so that she can be petty and give the finger to WWE. That's what she's doing.
Right.
And anybody who doesn't see that just is anti-Vince or anti-WWE, and they just want to make the argument, oh, evil Fed, evil empire, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think one thing that Stephanie McMahon did say once, and granted this was during a shareholders meeting, that, doing the charitable works is part of the PR, but that's the philosophy of every business. It's like, hey, if I can make enough money to where I can donate, and and yeah, maybe some people look at it as a tax write-off. However, I do think that some people, they're human after all. They, I don't think I've ever met anybody that really literally jumped into their pants, but I think there are some people that will back certain causes, or they have certain things that if, either affected them or affected people close to them, to where they're like, okay, all right, if I can make a difference, I want to make a difference. I can make a donation, or I can do this, or I can do that.
Yeah, and I understand that. And that, look, I think for a second that all of the charitable donations are just out of the goodness of their heart and they're not a PR thing. Of course they're a PR thing. Everything is a PR thing. And look, we live in a world right now where I thought that the world we were living in currently, I thought that the new rule was we say all the quiet things out loud now. I thought that was what everybody voted for, right?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
We're saying the quiet things out loud. That's what we're doing. So yeah, sure. But yeah, is it a PR thing? Of course it's a PR thing. But at the end of the day, you're not going to convince me that she isn't doing what she's doing with Owen's name and AEW as a complete slight to WWE. And again, that is her prerogative. It's her. She's the one that's in control of it. She can do what she wants with it. But don't come at me with the, oh, wrestling took my husband. If you're going to farm out your husband's legacy to certain promotions and not every promotion, then it's not about wrestling, Martha. It's about WWE.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, whatever. Let's call a spade and say all the quiet things out loud. You're being a hypocrite. And that if your foundation is making billions of dollars off of Tony Khan, awesome. I hope you do wonderful things with that money. But at the end of the day, your t-shirt needs to say, I'm okay with wrestling, just not WWE.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's okay. But just admit it.
Yeah. Just say, hey, I'm not a big fan of WWE. I prefer AEW. So, that's that. But yeah.
But I do find it entertaining that she would rather have the Owen Hart Foundation information for donation on a TV screen that's pulling less than 600,000 views in front of maybe 3,000 fans, instead of having it on a TV screen that's available globally for millions upon 500,000, or 500 million views in a month, with a crowd of 20 to 30,000 people at big shows. But okay, thanks, Martha.
Yeah. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. So let's see. I'm just trying to think of other. I'm just trying to think of other things. I mean, I'm just shooting the breeze today. Not going in with a mission. That's probably pretty dangerous. Be like, oh yeah, like here's what we're going to talk about today. Nah, we're just shooting breeze.
Here's what I'd like to talk about.
Sure.
I'd like to talk about knowing what we are about to get with Masters of the Universe.
Oh.
Can I have Thundercats, please?
Sure.
Can I have Thundercats live action? Can the same director who's doing the Masters of the Universe movie, can we get a sequel to the Masters of the Universe 2 and have the end credit scene at the end be the Thunderians arriving on Eternia?
Oh.
And can we do Thundercats versus He-Man? That'd be amazing.
That would be cool. That would be cool. I grew up with
Sword of
Thundercats
Omens
as well.
versus the Sword of Power. Are you kidding me? That's cool.
Yeah. I really, when I was a kid, I really thought Thundercats were pretty cool. And then I kind of like fell out. Like I was like, it is what it is. But Thundercats, like I thought the Revival series was really good when they had. Like,
oh yeah, it was. It was.
When they had.
And there's toys on the shelf now where Mattel did a crossover with the Masters of the Universe line and the Thundercats line.
Oh.
It's like a mashup. Like they did with they did a WWE Masters of the Universe thing a few years ago, where they did mashups with those toys, and they've recently also done GI Joe figures inside vehicles that transform into classic Transformers.
Oh.
And they're mixing a bunch of lines, but the He-Man Thundercats thing, there's precedent for that with the toy mashup. They could absolutely put those two together.
Oh, easy. Yeah, easy. Yeah, that would be cool. That'd be cool. It makes you think, like, I mean, even though it probably won't happen, it would be kind of cool to like just see one time where it's, Transformers and GI Joe do like a crossover.
Yeah.
Where you have the Decepticons team up with Cobra, and then you have, and then of course with then you have like the GI Joes, and you have like, Optimus Prime and Duke team up. That would be cool too.
Well, see, they did it in the comic books.
Yeah.
They did Transformers and G.I. Joe in the comic books. And one of the episodes of Transformers, I can't remember when I think it was in their first or second season, but one of the episodes of Transformers had Cobra Commander in it. But because it was in the future, it was down the line. One of the like, it was a money runner character, like a big boss, had a contact that they called Old Snake. It was Chris Latta doing the voice, who did the voice for Cobra Commander, who also did the voice for Starscream in the Transformers. And Starscream and Cobra Commander sound very similar. And it's because it's the same guy.
Right.
But at the end of the episode, when the Old Snake character is walking away and he's got the fedora and the big, trench coat, he's walking away, he screams, "Cobra!" And when that happened, I remember watching that in the episode, even when I was little, and I was like, oh my God, they put G.I. Joe with the Transformer. I didn't know anything about the comics at the time, but I marked out as a kid because I was like, oh my God, that's so cool.
Drew, Ed, welcome in. I see you guys in the chat. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, like, I mean, I feel like now we could probably get into more crossovers. Ed points out that the criminals get help from a mysterious person called Snake. He has a device which transfers the personalities of Rodimus, Springer, and RC into human bodies. The criminals take the Transformers' bodies on a crime spree. The human Autobots must find a way to get their bodies back. Watch for a surprising twist for the masked person known as Snake. That's for season 3,
so
23, Only Human.
Okay, so that's after, if it's got Rodimus and RC in them, that's after the movie then.
Yeah,
so it's not first season. That's after the movie.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not as up on my Transformers history as I am on other stuff.
Sure. Okay.
I kind of checked out after the movie because they killed a lot of my favorite characters, and I didn't really care about the new toys, and so I was like, yeah.
I mean, how could they kill Optimus Prime? How could they let him die?
They ended up bringing him. They ended up bringing him back, But I mean, I wasn't upset about them killing Optimus. I felt like if you're going to get rid of the old guard, bring in the new. I thought the movie did a real good job of wrapping up that era and introducing us to a new one. And I was just I was ready. I think it was for me. I looked at that movie and I was like, okay, I can jump off here and I feel okay. I'm good.
Yeah.
It's like with the Matrix films. I'm cool with the first 3 Matrix. I have still never watched the 4th one. Because I don't want to. I don't want to watch it because
they completed the story.
I loved the story, and I'm cool with them saying, will we ever see Neo again? Maybe one day. I'm cool with that ending. I don't need them to go back and redo shit. I'm out.
Sure.
So I just never watched I don't remember really watching a lot of Transformers TV. Obviously, I did because I saw that episode and I remembered the old Snake, but it just doesn't register with me very much because it was not something I was terribly interested in after the film.
Okay, I got you. I feel like, you know what, like I'll dip into my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Like I know my Turtles lore a little bit, so I felt like, movie-wise, they could have stopped with just Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 2, Secret of the Ooze, which the Secret of the Ooze is not really a secret. It's just a happy accident that brought about the Turtles. And then with the cartoon, they could have ended it with Shredder triumphant. And yeah, Shredder and all the bad guys, they get away, but there's no Technodrome anymore. And then they didn't have to go on with the Red Sky series, but because the Turtles were still drawing in halfway decent ratings and they wanted to take a more direct influence from Batman the animated series, because let's just call the spade a spade. The Batman animated series is one of the best animated series probably ever put out. Just the art's so good and the character development was so great. All of the episodes are well contained, but they're contained in their own story, but they can be overarching if they needed to. They did several parts, so you wanted to tune in and see what happened to Harvey Dent, how he became Two-Face, and how these characters became what they became. So a lot of influence, even back in the 90s, from Batman the animated series. And I feel like now since there's a lot of franchises that have their lore established, but do you think, this is a good question probably to ask you, Rick, do you believe that because in the era of franchises and they're always trying to come up with they're always trying to come up with new, like, either interpretations of a franchise, or they're trying to, like, let's say, like, they try to, it's like, let's say for Star Wars, for instance, they try to accentuate maybe like a small bit of that universe, or they flesh out maybe like a little piece of a story. Do you think there's still room for, like, let's say a new franchise to come out of nowhere? Kind of like, Spawn back in the 90s. Now Spawn's a franchise.
I absolutely believe that that's the case. I love bottle episodes that are like, I used to love The Walking Dead, you know that.
Mm-hmm.
And they would always, every season, they would have this at least one or two bottle episodes where it would just focus on one character in that episode and their hijinks for that show. And I have always believed that you can take characters from a franchise and introduce other characters and then spin off into that universe and follow that, which is really kind of what Star Wars has been doing, because we got Rogue One, which was a complete spin-off of these characters trying to accomplish a goal on the side of the story. You've had the Solo show showed a bunch of stuff that had gone on with Han before. The Andor show is way out in left field, on the heels of Rogue One. Acolyte was telling a story from way back in the past. I've always thought that those things were possible, and
Sure.
that you could build. Actually, sitcoms have been doing that forever,
With spin-offs.
because you can go back to All in the Family, or the Archie Bunker show. You can go back to that. It launched the Jeffersons were their neighbors. Maude was Edith's cousin. And then from Maude, her maid was Florida Evans, that's what launched Good Times. The fact of Different Strokes launched Facts of Life. Sitcoms used to do that stuff all the time. Golden Girls helped launch Empty Nest. It helped launch Nurses. These things happen all the time. So you can absolutely take characters and, Luke and them stop on a planet to help some buddy, overcome some overlord or something. And we meet some characters on that planet, and then Luke and everybody leave. And now we're going to follow these characters for a season.
Sure.
I think that's perfect. That's creation. Let's do that with everything.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the second prong of that question is with franchises, with franchises kind of basically taking over now, could there be room for like a new franchise or for new IPs and properties to really, maybe take their spot amongst the table? Or do you feel like Hollywood's kind of Hollywood, or, or, the toy corporations, or the, whoever you want to point the finger at, just wants to be like, okay, all right, we got our properties. We're good. I don't know.
I think that they absolutely do like to play it safe, but I don't think that they're afraid to try things that are new. I think they're absolutely game to try new things. Where I think they get cold feet is with the review bombing online and all of the crap that goes on with the ridiculous fans who just decide, I don't like this one thing, so I'm going to just rant and rant and rant and rant and rant and rant about all this bad stuff and review bomb everything. And then they get cold feet when they see those reviews, and they're like, oh, there's 9 people that are upset, so let's not do this anymore. It's just ridiculous. Yeah. I think they've always been willing. It's just they can't stick to it because they get so afraid that once they take that chance and a handful of people don't like it, oh my God, we have to back out. That's where they become cowards, in my opinion.
Sure. Okay.
Because here's another thing. I would ask anybody, like I would love to like pull random people on the street, like 10 people on the street at random. What are your 5 favorite sitcoms of all time?
Okay.
And I guarantee you one of the sitcoms that's going to get mentioned is Seinfeld, because it's part. Now, here's the thing. Guess what? Seinfeld was in danger of getting canceled for its first 3 seasons. They had to fight for every season they got until they hit their stride at the end of season 3, beginning of season 4. And it became the biggest property NBC had for a long time. But it had that period where if Seinfeld was launched today, it wouldn't make it past the first 5 episodes. They'd pull it.
Yeah.
Because they'd be so afraid of the reactions to they wouldn't let it get its bearings. You
Right.
gotta let stuff get its bearings.
It's kind of like Star Trek: The Next Generation, where the show didn't get good until like the third season. Now, granted, there were some, season 1 and season 2, they had some good stuff. They had some really good stuff. Um, really good episodes. They kept Tasha Yard dead, but they kept on bringing her back like in later seasons because they knew that they messed up by killing her off. But it was cool to elevate Worf, and I still think Worf's a great character, but just because the Klingons were such bad guys for so long, like to see a good guy Klingon was great for the time. But it didn't really start becoming like the Star Trek Next Generation, like, the Patrick Stewart, the Jonathan Frakes with the beard and, all these great characters until like they hit their stride in the third season. And then I felt like they reached their zenith when they did Best of Both Worlds, where Picard got kidnapped by the Borg and became Locutus. So just my opinion. And I mean, I get into the weeds with Star Trek a little bit. I don't watch as much Star Trek, but Star Trek Next Gen is still the best like Star Trek. And First Contact is still like, other than like Wrath. I mean, Rathacon is okay. That's an unpopular opinion, but I will sit down and I will rewatch First Contact.
I think that for me, like, I've never been a super Trekkie. It's always been Star Wars over Star Trek for me. But
I was like that when I was a kid. I preferred Star
Wars. What I will say about Star Trek, I will say this. I didn't watch any of the original series because I was too young.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw the first movie, didn't like it. It didn't seem right to me. Wrath of Khan knocked my socks off. And it's still my favorite Star Trek movie of all time. I don't believe that there's... I just don't think it can be topped. I love Wrath of Khan so much. Easily what it would be in my, they used to hear people say, if you were on a desert island trapped for the rest of your life and you had one movie to take with you, blah, 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 blah. I'd have a hard time not taking Wrath of Khan because it's a really good film.
Yeah, it is
that's how much I love it. But I will say this. I watched Star Trek Next Generation because I was old enough to get in on the ground floor. I love that show. I love that show. I love those characters. Their movies were good. Overall, the far-reaching arc of that story, absolutely loved it. One of these days, when I have more time and I'm so inclined, I will sit down and watch the Picard series because I know it's such a love letter to the Next Generation.
It is.
But I love to Star Trek Next Generation, and there's the whole Borg storyline. God, that was amazing.
Yeah,
that was so good. Like they were one of the like best overall like sci-fi bad guys. Like I just love the Borg. Borg was great.
Yeah, and I feel like it was really funny, like in First Contact, where they made the Borg the bad guys, where when they go back in time to keep the timeline intact, to where Cochrane goes and uses the warp drive. He attracts the Vulcans. The rest is history. I still think it's funny when one of the characters like associated with Cochrane, and she gets looped in to helping out Captain Picard, and she's like, "Yeah, they're definitely not Swedish." But yeah, but anywho, I know they're trying to. I think and this might be because of the creator, but I thought kind of Alf was underrated too.
Did you say Alf?
Alf, yeah. Because Ed mentioned Alf in chat.
Alf was fun. Alf was a fun show. I dug Alf. I thought it was fun. I thought that it was one of those things as a kid that if you go back and watch those episodes now, there was a lot more adult humor on that show than you thought there was back in the day.
Yeah. Nowadays, like if you want any sort of adult humor, you have to go on the streaming platforms. But
yeah. I liked Alf. It's always on you see the lists all the time of like finales of shows that people are like really upset about.
Yeah.
Everybody's upset. Like that's one of the shows that's always on the list.
Is Alf. You know, it'd be a
But I mean,
really,
what are you gonna do?
you know, it'd be
Like, what
really
are you
cool
gonna do?
crossover though.
Of course, he's gonna get abducted.
Yeah,
you know,
of course. You know, it'd be a really cool, like what would have been a really cool crossover is Alf with Men in Black.
Oh, if Alfred had shown up in a Men in Black movie, that'd be great.
That would have been fantastic.
Yeah, that would have been really good.
Yeah, just the interaction between him and like Will Smith. But
he should have been in Muppets in Space. That would have been great too.
Oh, Muppets in Space. That would have been good.
Or he could have been in the crowd in Space Jam. How fun would that have been?
Oh, Space Jam. The first Space Jam was fantastic. I thought that was peak. You know, and it all started with, Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that still holds up. Because it's very vintagey. It goes back to the golden age of cartoons. Going back to... And then you go on to Space Jam where they mastered that. In Space Jam, you feel like they're part of that. They're their own universe, but they somehow fit. And they look way better than, the latest Space Jam movie that they try to do with LeBron James. But that was my childhood though. Like I loved Space Jam when I was a kid.
I watched the first one. I wasn't really invested because I'm not into sports.
Right.
But I did watch it because, again, there was the connection to Who Framed Roger Rabbit when you have the live action and the animation together. It was one of those things that the trailer sold me, and I was like, yeah, I'll watch this.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I didn't immediately hop online and go, oh my God, I can't. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, because, that was before like the internet really became mainstream.
Well, true, but you know what I'm talking about. Right. Like I didn't run out and immediately write an op-ed piece about how this is destroying the Looney Tunes legacy and blah, blah, blah.
Right. I get that. I think I brought this up before, and I think it could have been, it could be a really great crossover. Even if like IDW just got the licenses to do it. And actually, believe it or not, they released a toy line, and then they did then they did comics. They crossed over Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles with Godzilla. And as like, and the little kid within me was like, oh my God, like, I've yet to read the comics, I've yet to, really dive into the story, but I do have the Godzilla Leonardo character. He was the last one left at Target. So I was like, what the hell? I'll just pick it up. And, I was like, this is insane. I'm living in a golden age of, crossovers and mishmashes and seeing properties I never would have expected to mix. All of a sudden they're mixing, like Godzilla and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, or maybe to see Transformers with like Gundam or something like that.
That would definitely
the Japanese need to get over themselves. Crossovers, man, they get people so excited.
Get out of your own way, Japan. Get out of your own way.
Well, it's I know it's company things. It's company things, but I always thought like the 87 Turtles could have crossed over with 92 Sailor Moon, and it could come out with a great story on that. And like there could be a mix up where Sailor Moon thinks that the Turtles are like these demons sent from like the bad guys, where the Turtles think like Sailor Moon's like affiliated with the Shredder, and you could have a whole source of hijinks. You can make Krang the ultimate bad guy, because they don't. I feel like because Krang was a warlord in Dimension X, like they didn't really like have like this is one of the as an adult, like I think of like you know, like where the 87 series, even though it's like a kid's show, they missed the boat, is the gravitas of Krang's influence on Dimension X.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you, speaking of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Sailor Moon, I bet you could find a crossover on OnlyFans with that stuff.
Oh, no. No. I did get the kick out of when Unfiltered had a crossover with OnlyFans when I was on Corn-Fed with Dalton Pruitt. Well, Ed popped on towards the end of the show, but we had a crossover with Corn-Fed with Dalton Pruitt, and basically the star of the show was an OnlyFans model. Yeah,
That's funny.
Yeah, she was fantastic. She was a good businesswoman, but man, you know, the first thing I was like, okay, let me do research so I can ask her some smart questions, and the first thing I see is ass cheeks. I see buns, you know, that's the first thing I saw. And I brought that up during the show, and Dalton had a kick out of it. He was like, really? But it was good. It was good.
That is really funny. That's really funny.
It's really funny. Yep. Ellie Stockholm. Yeah, like she's great. She's a little raunchy for my taste, but and yeah, she did get the split tongue surgery done. I did notice that on Instagram. Yeah, geez Louise. Yeah, Ed's an Ellie Stockholm convert, but admire the work, not the, you know, I guess. But anywho,
I do want to say one of the more entertaining aspects of this podcast is when you get a little flustered / embarrassed, and that's really funny because a lot of, I don't want to destroy your reputation or anything.
No.
For those who don't know you,
anyways.
For those who don't know you, you know, like personally, you're a pretty straight-laced, innocent kid, and
very
the
naive.
thing is that you kind of are, and so like when that stuff comes up and you can see it all over your face, you just want to sink into. You want to do the Homer meme where you sink back into the bushes.
Yeah,
you know.
Let me talk about my turtles and Godzilla, and let me talk about my sports, but or let me talk about my lol cows. That's the only deviousness I get is I make fun of lol cows.
Yeah.
But yeah, during the show, what was it? Ellie did say that, and I'm reading from Ed in the chat, is she was glad to finally do an interview where she could keep her clothes on.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, well, heck yeah, kudos. That was pretty good. Yeah, like, because most of the time the people I bring on the show, it's mostly, pro wrestling contacts, the sport people I know from sportsball, and then, maybe some internet personalities, here and there, especially with, last week with CJ, and then bringing on Crash Out connoisseurs onto the table, and then finally, teaming up with Ryan for the extra point. So yeah, I talk about some very tame topics where, if I hop onto Corn-Fed, or if I tune into like, and shout out to Douglas and Paul on Sibling Revelry, by the way. But when they talk about that stuff, I feel like I'm the kid in church. Like, I'm like, oh, my head's about to explode, but, yeah.
That's so funny, dude.
Yeah. Or, I look at the camera and I'm like, I just make like a little nod, or I just, my eyes go wide, or I just have a really funny expression. That's how I feel when those topics get discussed, because, and I think I brought it up on their show where I was just like, yeah, I feel like I'm the church choir kid, just tuning in, like, and hearing all, like, how does OnlyFans work, and how does one go about an OF, how does one go about an OF business? How does one make money off of OF? And yeah, oh, but yeah, there were times where my face went white, so. And that doesn't happen very often, like, all the times where I've walked into a strip, like all the times I've walked into a strip point or a strip joint, and I'm just as cool as a cucumber, but yeah, like there, I'm very, I think it's the background. My family's very, and it's not just limited to my dad's side. Mom's fairly conservative as well. It's hey, you don't get exposed to that stuff. What the hell are you doing? And or I mean, it was even when I was a kid where grandma would come up to me, because I was into Jurassic Park too. I don't know who else. I know plenty of people who think dinosaurs are cool. Especially back in the 90s, that was such an excited time to be like a little kid in the 90s. And, I was like, man, dinosaurs are becoming a thing. Even more than they were now with what we know. But my grandmother like approached me because I was like into Jurassic Park, and she's like, well, don't you think it's a little violent? And I misheard her, or maybe it was just little kid brain thinking. And I was like, oh, I think there's plenty of violet, the color violet in the movie. And she was like, no, like not the color. Like, did you think it was violent? And I was like, I guess I don't really think about it. The same thing with the Ninja Turtles. Like the Ninja Turtles were violent. Their comic books like showed them slicing and dicing like people, imagine being a teenager, being a teenage gangbanger, and you're hitting the streets and you're getting your ass kicked by a, like a 4-foot tall turtle man, that's a traumatic life experience. And I never thought of that as, violence.
No.
And that's what people got afraid of, like, especially in the 80s and 90s, is like, especially in the 90s where they were coming out with like, they were coming out with a whole bunch of different, cartoons that, they weren't exactly educational. No. Because it was Saturday morning cartoons, that's what I grew up on. And I just never thought of it like that. But I don't know. It's, yeah.
Well, I think that by the time you were watching Saturday morning, the Schoolhouse Rock had already finished its run.
It did, but it still replayed during, especially on ABC. Like it was like the golden age, because ABC had a Saturday morning block. You had CBS that had the Saturday morning block. You had Fox. You had WB. If you had cable, you can get WB. And then like NBC was the only one that kind of really distanced itself away, because I don't remember a lot of stuff on NBC, but mostly CBS and Fox had the huge like Saturday morning cartoon blocks. ABC kind of killed it off kind of like in the late 90s. Yeah, they killed it off like about 2000, 2001 or whatever.
There you go.
Yeah, they all moved it to their own cable networks, and that was when Cartoon Network became a thing.
I had a friend of mine that grew up overseas. He was born in America, but his family had moved to Denmark when he was very young, and until he was in high school, he lived overseas. And when he came back home to America, he had a completely different perspective on our pop culture, because he thought that American high school was Greece. That's what he thought.
Oh yeah,
which is hilarious to me. Mm-hmm. But I remember, befriending him, learning about who he was and what he'd experienced. And then in like the late 90s, they released a box set of the Schoolhouse Rock show on DVD.
Yeah.
And I bought it, and I still have it to this day because I love those, even though you can find them now readily available on streaming.
Right. Yeah.
But I love those shows because I grew up with them. And I remember showing him the America Rock that had all the history stuff. And he's watching these songs tell this history of America. And he looks at me and he goes, "You know that none of this is true, right?" And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "There are so many half-truths and lies in this song." He's like, "That is not at all how this went down."
Sure.
He's like, "This is so like juiced up and like sanitized for American children." He's like, "This is not even remotely close to what this was." And it made me laugh because I think about that moment and I wish, man, if we lived in the world now that if we lived in then and the way we live now, that would have made a great series of reaction videos showing him Schoolhouse Rock.
Oh yeah.
He would have just been like, "What is this crap?" Boy, it was really funny to me. I got a big kick out of it.
Yeah, and I had a few friends that were from Germany, and in their perspective, especially if you bring up like World War II, is very interesting. If you bring up the crazy mustache man and the silly mustache man, and you bring all that stuff up, if you can approach it in a very be like, "Hey, what's your perspective on, World War II in Germany and the fallout from World War II, like Cold War Germany, where Germany's all split up in pieces, and then it became East Germany, West Germany, whatever." I mean, that perspective is it's incredibly enlightening, especially for an American that's maybe never been to another country, like never even stepped foot in Mexico or Canada. Because, we're guarded, we're basically protected by, or sheltered, probably better word is that, we're sheltered by these two big ass oceans, on either side of our continent. And then it kind of is like, okay, well, we're a little, it's insulated, and we have our perspective of history and stuff that we grew up with. And that's why I think it's interesting to really dive into, especially like, and Ed and I in previous episodes, we've discussed it before, where, there's now, well, back then when we were growing up, we had a very simplified history. It's like, oh yeah, civilization came, washed over the, from sea to shining sea within a, handful of generations, where, nowadays there's more history that comes out, and then the deeper you go, there's more perspectives, especially from the native perspective of the American conquest of the West. So don't believe everything Schoolhouse Rock tells you, even though Schoolhouse Rock was it still rocks. It's still good.
Awesome songs.
Yeah, I'm just a Bill.
Yeah, dude. Suffering Through Suffrage. The Verb song is great.
Conjunction
Junction is amazing. There are so many good banger songs in Schoolhouse Rock. It is so good.
Yeah.
There's been several tribute albums in the last couple of decades where like rock bands or like country band, like any performer has taken it upon themselves to play these songs and do their versions of these songs, and those always rock too. They're so good.
They're good.
The creators of Schoolhouse Rock do not get the credit that they deserve for the music itself. The music and the lyrics, like, were top notch.
Agreed.
Top notch.
Agreed. Yeah. Those were the days. Yeah, kids these days, they'll never know. They'll never know. They'll never know how good we had it.
No.
Like, especially when things like were new and they came out. Like, it was exciting when new things came out. Now there's new things that come out all the time, and it's hard to get excited about things.
Yeah, it is. It is difficult at times to get excited about new stuff.
Yeah. Although I know that you are very excited about the new Masters of the Universe. I mean,
Dude, I almost want to camp out for tickets.
Oh.
I really do. I feel about Masters right now the way I felt about Phantom Menace when it was like, because we camped out for Phantom Menace.
Sure.
We camped out for it. We camped out for Attack of the Clones, and we camped out for Revenge of the Sith.
Oh.
All of the prequels we camped out for.
Okay.
And stayed overnight in tents in parking lots, waiting to buy tickets. And I feel the same way about Masters, dude. I'm super excited about it. I'm ready to see more. I want to see a bigger trailer.
Mm-hmm.
I want to see, but then at the same time, there's a piece of me that almost doesn't want to see it because they didn't show enough of the characters I believe we are going to get that are mostly mocap characters.
Yeah.
I almost want to wait until those characters pop up on the screen because I will be that guy in the theater who applauds and screams and cheers when certain characters show up.
Or when
I will definitely be that.
You're snapping and you're pointing at the screen. Oh!
I will. Yes, I will be. I will be the Leonardo DiCaprio meme. I absolutely will be. That will be me.
A movie that I would like to see. Hopefully you get your wish, and hopefully Masters of the Universe, not only meets your expectations but exceeds it. And maybe it captures lightning in a bottle and people go crazy over He-Man again. I would love to see a live action Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles but based on the 1990 film. Where they completely do away with Turtles 3. And then they do a fourth Turtles film with they link up with Jim Henson's Creature Shop. Now they have the technology to do it, but do a Return of the Foot Clan, or the Foot Walks again, or they could do now they have the technology to where they could really go. I mean, they can go anywhere from the 90s what would be a good way to the 1990 Turtles running across a Karai, or they deal with something like Krang, or you base it off the original comic books, and you do the Uchoms or the Triceratons. Dude,
I feel like for me, if I had the pen and I was in charge of the budget, if I was going to relaunch Turtles, it would be a film based on the original black and white comic. Mm-hmm. It would be in the vein of Sin City, where it would be mostly black and white.
Oh.
And it would have only splashes of color when they kill people, like you'd see the big red blood splats and things like that.
Right.
Maybe the white, gray, black type of for the characters, but maybe only the headbands are color.
Yeah.
But mostly you know what the Sin City stuff looked like.
Yep.
I would do it in the veins, because that's kind of what the comic felt like.
Mm-hmm.
I would do it in the vein of Sin City, and I would relaunch the entire franchise very stripped down in that way. And if you want to bring characters that were prevalent in the cartoon and the movies after the cartoon, then that's fine. Do that. But do them in the vein of the original drawings from the black and white comic.
Okay.
And go at it with that, because the original launch of the Turtles, if we got a trilogy of those movies in the vein of Sin City, and then they want to bring in Casey Jones and Usagi Yojimbo and all those characters, yes, please do that. But give us a gritty, down to earth, not for kids. Let's do the Turtles as wasn't it Eric Larson who did them?
It was.
Wasn't he the guy who originally did Turtles?
It was Laird and Eastman.
Oh, it was Laird and Eastman, not Larson. Larson did Savage Dragon. Never mind.
Yeah.
Although
it would be cool to see a Savage Dragon movie, though. It would be cool,
dude. Well, that's what. Yes, I mean, but do it in the vein that Laird and Eastman intended.
Sure.
And go at it that way. That would be something I'd camp out for. I'd camp out for that.
In the 90s, I think after my interest in the Turtles waned because just the Turtles went away. Gargoyles. Yeah. Gargoyles was good, man.
Oh, Gargoyles.
Gargoyles, like if Disney could just get its act together and realize, hey, we actually do have an adult audience. You could do Gargoyles. And yes, like I would camp out for Gargoyles. Just because I know how damn good the first 2 seasons were. The 3rd season, they go a little more kiddie, but the first 2 seasons were absolutely fantastic. They were, and when I grew up, if I missed Gargoyles first thing in the morning, there was a Sioux City CBS affiliate that had an afternoon block of cartoons before they put on the news. They would have Gargoyles as that final one. So I'd come home from school and I would watch Gargoyles and I'd get caught up on the series. And they played it in the afternoon. I was like, it was so great. And then, it was so different from what Nickelodeon and it was before I ran across Cartoon Network, but it was so different compared to the original Nicktoons. And, don't get me wrong, I have fond memories of the original Nicktoons, but as far as like a movie adaptation or a live action, or even like a reboot, that's very intelligent, like a X-Men 97, like the X-Men 97, which I thought X-Men 97 was pretty good. Like I was like, ooh, this is actually it was
decent. A great series. Yeah, great series.
And I stepped away from X-Men like a long time ago. Like I knew like I was with it for like maybe the first season, then I kind of fell away from it because I was like, okay. And then when I watched X-Men 97, I was like, ooh, there was a lot of it's like, ooh, man, okay, all right, this is good. I would even be okay if they did like a reboot of the Turtles 87 series or a reboot of Gargoyles. Wipe away the Goliath Chronicles and you have a great spot to be at, but you'd have to bring back Greg Weisman, who was behind like Spectacular Spider-Man and Young Justice, who were in those shows were very they were actually had a level of maturity to them, which it's you can hook the kids in for the toy sales or whatever, but it's intelligent enough for adults to really latch on to. And
yes,
when you have that level of intelligent storytelling and you have these intricacies or these nuances, you're not limited to just kids. You can bring in the adults, and it's, I don't know. That's just, that comes with good storytelling, is it ties everybody all together. But what do I know? We just talk about it online.
Well, dude, like, okay, let's explore the X-Men for a minute.
Sure.
The X-Men, I loved X-Men 97 so much because it was so nice to see the attention to detail to the comic stories because I was so disillusioned by the first 3 movies from Fox because they changed so much. And, you know, I there's a whole legion of people out there who love those movies. And if you love those movies, good for you. And I'm sure that you're all super excited for Avengers Doomsday to see what they're going to do with those characters, since they're going to kind of get their swan song.
Yep.
And I think that's great. I can't wait for the Marvel reboot where they completely reboot the X-Men from scratch, and I get a brand new cast of people with these characters and a new take on these stories. I'm super excited for that. X-Men 97 filled that void for a little bit, and I'm excited for the second season that's coming up this summer. I love the X-Men property so much. I still to this day collect. I'm going back to collect because I'd given it up, but I've been recollecting the Uncanny X-Men line. And I'm from. I have all. I don't have like the first 60 some odd issues before they got their plug pulled and started having to do the classic retelling of the original 60 comics. Those are all now available in graphic novel form, and I have them all. There's 5 of them, I believe. I have those original stories, and then I have from graphic X-Men or the big the big relaunch in giant-sized X-Men where they had the international crew, the Colossus and Storm and Nightcrawler and all those guys debut. I have that, and then from that forward, I have everything up into the early 400s. And right now, I believe they're in the 600s or 700s as far as the actual number of comics.
Oh my
so
gosh.
I've got a long way to go. I've got a long way to go to recollect. But right now I'm further ahead than I was when I checked out, because I checked out after the original Age of Apocalypse storyline in the comics, because they sold us that storyline as we're changing everything. This is the new universe. And then when it didn't sell right, they went back on their word and brought everything back. And I was like, okay, I'm out. You milked me for my money. I'm done. And I kind of let go. But now I'm going back and I'm getting them, and I'm rereading a lot. And it's really rejuvenated me for the storytelling. And so when I saw 97, I was like, oh my gosh, this feels so much like the comics that I love. Super excited for the second season, and super excited to see what Marvel does with it. Because if Feige is to be believed, after we get to Secret Wars, whether it's a 1-part or a 2-part, because I hear they're talking about it might be a 2-part. Once it's done, it's supposed to be, if Feige is to be believed, the soft reboot of the MCU. But moving forward, it's going to be about the mutants, mostly, not the Avengers. It's going to be about the mutants. So I'm super excited about that, because I feel like in Marvel's hands, the X-Men are finally going to get what they're supposed to have. And I couldn't be happier. It's my favorite comic series of all time, my favorite characters. The only thing that I will wish for is the death of Scott Summers early, because I don't like him. I hope he's the first character they kill.
Oh, jeez.
Because I just don't like him. I know they won't, because the current comics, I think, like, Cyclops is the leader now.
Yeah.
Like, he's the focus of it. And that's fine. That's fine. But selfishly, I know I won't get what I want. I just don't like him.
Sure.
Yeah. I would love for the opening scene to be his death. I just don't like him.
Well, I mean, I think compared to so many other characters, Cyclops is so white bread.
He's just never happy. He's always complaining about something, and it's like, Scott, like, what? Like, dude, what's wrong with you? Like,
yeah, like, he's able to get the ladies. He's actually kind of got a cool power. Like, I would love to have optic blast. Like, if somebody looks at me funny, I'll just blast them, you know?
When the biggest decision you have to make is whether you're going to sleep with Jean Grey or Emma Frost, you got it made, buddy.
Yeah.
You got it made. Stop crying and complaining.
Especially when Wolverine's like, yeah, I like Jean Grey too. I mean, you got Wolverine beat because you've won over Jean Grey, and she's one of the most powerful mutants out there.
Here's an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
Wolverine is a cook. Wolverine's a cook. He's cool with knowing the girl he likes is banging the guy he doesn't, and he's okay with that. He's really okay
in
with
the
that.
hotel chair watching.
He is. He's sitting in the chair. He's sitting in the chair. Look, I like Logan as much as everybody else, but let's call a spade a spade. We're saying the truth and the quiet things out loud. Yeah. Wolverine is a cook.
Oh, poor Logan. I like Logan as a character, but yes, I mean that's true. He's just chasing after the wrong women.
He's got Morph right there. Morph loves Wolverine, and I don't care. You can come to terms with that, Logan. However you need to come to terms with it. Morph can be anything you want him to be. And yes, without his power, you are sleeping with a dude. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know how to help you. But if you just close your eyes and let go, Morph can be anybody you want him to be. So, like, instead of being the cuck who sits in the chair and watches the girl he's in love with bang the dude with one eye, why can't we just deal with the fact that the guy over here who sometimes chooses to have a penis and sometimes might have a vagina, he's over here, he's actually in love with you and he wants to do whatever you want to do. So, like, stop being a cuck and just get on board with Morph and you're going to be happy.
Oh, man. Yeah.
I'm sure that Twitter would be on fire with these comments.
Well, that's fine. We don't have that much traction anyways. People tune in for the locals. But no, it's too good. I think of that in and Wolverine's had his share of love interests.
Yeah.
And he's
got a thing for the Asians.
Yeah.
He's got a thing for the Asians.
Yeah, he's never been happy
House of
either.
House of M, he was banging Mystique.
Yeah. Yep. Unless you're counting the movie canon, then like Mystique shows up as like Jean Grey.
He also has a kind of creepy relationship with Jubilee, who's like, what, 14? That's a little messed up.
That is a little messed up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that Wolverine fans want to sweep under the rug is the Jubilee stuff. Let's not talk about Jubilee.
Well, I mean, the thing with Jubilee's just kind of been through the ringer as a character because, like, she went from, being this, girl that can manipulate fireworks to at one point becoming a vampire. And I'm like, where the fuck did the vampire gimmick come from?
That's what happens when you change writers and the writer says, I'm bored with this character.
I don't know
what can we do
with this character. I don't know what to do with him. Fuck it. Let's make him a vampire,
Well, I've been there. Brandon McGregor and Lobo became vampires for a few weeks.
Before I shat on that, but
before you and the hillbillies ruined it, and then we had to kill off another character.
I still remember that poor Josh. He just never had a break.
Josh.
Because I was like, oh, it's Uncle Fester, and everybody chanted Uncle Fester,
dude. In that moment, if we had that on film, the manipulated, edited version would be stop instantly on the face of Lucius Valentine, zoom in, and then superimpose the picture from The Simpsons where Lisa breaks that little kid's heart, and the heart, like,
Oh,
Ralph Wiggum.
Yes.
Yeah, the Ralph Wiggum where Bart says, if you pause it right here, you can see the moment that his heart breaks. Like that. That would be the moment, and then you would hear the audible wah, 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 wah. It
Oh
was
my
so
gosh.
bad.
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
bad. I mean, he caked on the white makeup a little too much. And
he did. He
I
did.
like Josh as a person, but don't come out looking like, Christopher Lloyd's version of Uncle Fester. Just please don't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I get it. But I remember that moment vividly because the second we heard the Fester chant, everyone backstage just kind of took a sigh and lowered their head because we were like, yeah, this isn't gonna work.
I'm glad that no, none of the OGs like Lil and Damien and Brandon and even Gringo were like, Tyler, you completely ruined a gimmick.
No, in hindsight, everybody thought it was funny and they laugh about it to this day.
They
So
still laugh about it. Oh yeah.
the only person who doesn't laugh about it is Josh. But you'd think look, that was probably the lowest moment of Josh's wrestling career until he got de-pantsed in Pops' office after the war show.
Yeah.
Like once that happened, then it was like, oh, okay, well, we really can't go any lower than that.
No.
So yeah.
I remember, oh man, I remember that, like the stories that were told about the war show. I mean, it was a great show for a fan, to go see.
I remember sitting in the DJ booth and because I did the music all night. And I remember Pops bringing me, because the buzz was going around that the money had run out. And the guy for Darren Childs had not come out and run his mouth yet about the money. But I remember Pops bringing me the concession box and setting it underneath my chair and he said, do not tell anyone you have this.
Oh.
And I was like, okay, I got you.
Oh, shit. Oh, no. Oh, dadgum. Oh, man. All the times at the warehouse. But yeah, poor Josh. He always got the short end of the stick. I mean, and I got to know him. I got to know him, and he was naive, but I learned that he was a good guy too.
All in all, he's always been a good dude.
He's always been a good
he
dude.
wears his heart on his sleeve, a bit naive at times, but little. And what's so funny is for someone who was such a good talker on the microphone in character, he is such a introverted personality.
Mm-hmm.
I would almost think he's on the spectrum just because he's so quiet outside of holding a microphone in front of fans. But weird. No, Josh is a good dude. He's a good dude, nice dude. That's why I tried to bring him into SCP. Remember when I tried to bring him in because I was like, I know he has something to offer. I know he does.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And then, I mean, there were a lot of people that went through the doors of, both WWA and SCP. Goodness gracious. But I will end the show on this note. And Rick, thank you so much for, popping in and
of course
giving me company. Even
I'm always available for you, dude. Always.
It's even though it said Tyler Liger and Friends, the show really should come off as, the Tyler and Rick show. But maybe that might be a meme. But what, I'll end it on this note. I do feel like, and I'm gonna peel back the curtain just a little bit. But the atmosphere around Squared Circle Pro, I was so bummed that Squared Circle Pro had to move back. But that was Mother Nature. That's that's nobody else's fault. But the forces of nature, act of God type of thing. But all the times I've been backstage, interacted with people, I feel like the backstage has probably the best it's ever been. And you have a lot of these young, hungry guys, mixed with, guys that are looked at as reliable, and and that takes years of vetting and not
Yes.
and not so much, because grooming has such a bad connotation to it. Developing
Yeah, it
is
does.
probably
Yeah.
developing is probably a better way to put it. To develop talent and to mix it with the developmental, promotion with Lubbock Pro Wrestling 101. Probably one of the best locker rooms I've walked into, and I haven't walked into very many locker rooms because I still regard it as a sacred space. However, hats off to you and the powers that be at SCP for just having and I look back at it and I always talk about it with Lil, or I'll talk about it with Mrs. Granger. I'll always talk about, and I'll talk about it with a few others, a few other OGs, but we're like, this is a great locker room. We have a great atmosphere, and that's why I try to sell or promote SCP any way I can. So, kudos.
And you have no idea how much I appreciate that, because it has been, I've said it before to people. I try not to say it too much because that I'm not a person that likes to put myself over, but
right.
This is my 20th year right now. This is my 20th year doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And I've learned a lot of lessons in 20 years about what not to do, what's good to do, what works, what doesn't work. And there's been a lot of work, especially in the 14 years of SCP, coming up on 15, that the locker room, the staff, the atmosphere that we have right now has been such a journey of trial and error.
Mm-hmm.
To vetting was a great word. I believe that we have the most cohesive, inclusive, drama-free, everybody's here to lift everybody up locker room that I've ever been involved in, ever.
Right.
And that is a testament to a lot of hard work. And it's not just my hard work, it's a lot of people's hard work. And but yeah, it is fulfilling. Would I love to do more? Sure. Is there maybe more on the pipeline? Of course. Could we do things better? Oh, absolutely. We can always do things better. But the things that we have right now, I'm very content with and very happy with where things are, because the fruits of the labors are absolutely showing right now. And I just appreciate this podcast. I appreciate you. I appreciate the Not Your Average Mark guys. I appreciate the Texan Tag Team guys. Okay. There's a whole group of online, Richie Wong, Raymond Wong. There's so many people that put this in the forefront that don't have to do those things, but they choose to do those things.
Yeah.
And it's very fulfilling and humbling at the same time. And I just appreciate it. Just know that I'm always available for you. Anything you need from me, buddy, you know that you will always get it. And I just appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I think it's almost time for me to go watch some football, some sports ball.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
You go enjoy your sports ball. But if you walk away from one thing with this podcast, just know that Wolverine is a cuck.
And Cyclops is an angry young man.
Let that be your sword and shield as you go off into the world.
Okay. Wolverine is a cuck. Okay. That was pretty good. I'll have to, I need to ask somebody to clip that. Maybe I need to get CJ to do that. But
somebody needs to get on that meme.
Wolverine is a cuck. Well, I mean, he has the picture of him like on the bed looking over that picture. I mean, I don't see why. Yeah,
but no, I need the scene of Scott with Madeline Pryor, who looks like Jean Grey, in bed, holding each other, and I need Wolverine in the corner smoking a cigarette, and that's what I need.
And just
I
watching
need that.
it all transpire.
That needs to circulate. That needs to circulate, and it needs to be hashtag Wolverine is a cuck.
Oh God.
Somebody make that happen. Somebody get on that.
Okay. Well, cool deal. I think I'm gonna end it for today.
Awesome.
Rick, thanks again for joining me.
Of course.
That way I'm not shouting into the abyss for 2 hours, but
hey, this is why it's a good thing that you have a podcast and I don't, because if I had the equipment that you had, I would be shouting into the void every ounce of my day that wasn't involved with working or SCP. I would be logged on shouting into the void. So more power to you, dude.
I appreciate it. Okay. And then later on tonight, we'll have Crash Out Connoisseurs. CJ and I will dip our toes back into the world of lolcow, specifically a Akron goblin by the name of Cyrax. That boy just does not learn. And then let's see. We got probably another Crash Out Connoisseurs coming up probably Thursday. We have to do... The world of lolcows moves so fast, Rick, to where we have to do 2 shows in a week. And then I have
Okay.
the extra point with Ryan Justice on Wednesday. Crash Out Connoisseurs on Thursday after the double shot today. And then Unfiltered next week, and I will have Rex read.
Awesome.
I will have Rex read, and we will talk about. I'll have him play his greatest hits. So that's a big one. And then the season finale of Unfiltered falls on February 8th. I'm going to just throw out a disclaimer right now. We're going to do it's going to be pre-recorded. It'll be with Kale Steed. So, Rick, you're not a sports ball guy, so feel free to kind of gloss that one over, but a lot of sports ball. But we do have a lot of road stories that we can share. So, everybody loves road stories. So there's that. And then Crash Out Connoisseurs, we'll see how the river flows with that one. I'm really excited about that show just because, people put themselves a little bit too much out there on the internet where, you and I, we're a little more guarded with our secrets. Not that we have very many secrets or that many skeletons in the closet, but yeah, these people just kind of, they talk too much for their own good. And they do too much for their own good. They're documented a little too much, but I digress. That's why for some people it's entertaining. But yeah, fantastic show. And yeah, we'll see you later. I'll see you later tonight, Rick. I will see you soon.
All right.
All right. Take it easy. And then for all of y'all on the internet, I will see you later on tonight.